Hi, folks. This is Harold Ree from the Pawprint Animal Rescue Podcast.
This is Nancy Ree.
Today's episode, we have Deb Huaco. And what's nice about her episode, she talks about a senior dog, Melody, who has special needs. The reason why I bring that up is that we actually are fostering our own dog, Tebow, who's a much younger dog, but has his own special needs.
Tebow is a Chihuahua Dachshund mix, is the best guess. He's about 13 pounds. He is just adorable. However, he has some behavior issues that are kind of typical of a dog that might have been neglected or abused.
Someone listening out there, maybe you're that special hero or angel who can be a permanent loving family for Tebow. Go straight to Contra Costa Humane Society.
Yes, the Contra Costa Humane Society website is cchumane.org.
Well, thanks for listening and on to the show.
My name is Deborah Wakow. I always thought that if I were to choose an animal, I would like to be a sea turtle. It was my first passion. I think that they're wise and they've been around a long time.
This is Pawprint, an animal rescue community, episode 16. I'm Harold Ree.
I'm Nancy Ree.
Deborah Huaco is a first grade teacher. She also acts in local theater productions, who with her girlfriend Denise cares for a huge family of animals. Today we focus on Melody, a dog Deborah ended up fostering not once, but twice. She also shares the story of Penelope, a deaf and blind poodle that she rescued.
Learn how Deborah's patience, her love for Melody, and her intuition are put to the limit. If you want to learn more about Deborah and Melody, go to our show notes at thisispawprint.com/16. That's the number 16.
I lived in a lot of different countries. I was born in Hong Kong.
Wow.
My mom is from Argentina, and my father is from here, Central Valley. He worked in Bank of America overseas. We lived in Korea, Argentina, and England mostly. In England, I was animal crazy since I was little. We never really had pets until I begged. So I brought home all kinds of things. I started with tortoises because they were easy. People in England had tortoises, so I had a couple of tortoises there. I was always horse crazy. Cats and horses are my two favorite pet animals. So I started riding, took little riding things in England. Once a week I would go out on Wimbledon Common and do a little ride. And then I never really was interested in cats until I got to college, but I was horse crazy. And I had little things like guinea pigs and rabbits and tortoises, and then finally talked my parents into getting a dog. We did have a dog, and then we moved over here, and I didn't really have animals till I went to college, and then I got my own. But now I ride again, so I'm taking riding lessons in Clayton with a lady from England who does dressage lessons, so it's like kind of show. So I do a little bit of dressage, a little bit of jumping, and trail rides on Mount Diablo.
Talk a little bit about your acting. How's that been going? How are you able to juggle?
Good.
How are you able to juggle the acting and the animals?
I do a lot. We don't have other children, but I teach first grade. Acting and animals, and those are two of the things that I've grown up loving forever since I can remember. And I started doing local community plays. So I've been in about 9 maybe now in the past 8 years, something like that. So in October, I was in a play called Moon Over Buffalo with Pittsburgh Community Theater. And it was the first time I had the lead role. I had a really exciting, fabulous part. And it was difficult. It was difficult to go every night and rehearse and to do the plays, and the animals didn't get as much attention, but
Right.
Come home from school, take care of them, and then off to rehearsal. I have been fostering for some time. Melody My girlfriend Denise actually noticed Melody at the shelter and was interested in Beagles for a time. And so we went and decided to foster her for Contra Costa Humane Society. I believe it was May, several years ago. Yeah. And she was very sweet. We did notice that she had some of those special needs. She did have the way that she walked. We knew that maybe she had an injury or something physical about her. I became attached to her quite quickly. I think she immediately I bonded with her, and so we had her for maybe 3 or 4 months, I think, before we got a call that the owner had been looking for her and was located and was interested in getting her back, but financially couldn't get her out of the shelter. And it was decided that she would go back with the owner. As soon as I went to the owner's home, I didn't agree with that decision. I was upset. I didn't think it was we really did need to give the owner a chance, but I was concerned about the owner's ability to take care of her. And I know that the owner did have other issues going on in her life. And so she went, and I had a hard time with it, but I eventually needed to let her go, and mentally in my mind, and say she's with her owner. There's nothing I can do. And then maybe 6 months later, November of that same year, it was probably the summer, July, when she went back to live with her former owner. We were in the shelter again looking at another dog. And so we ended up, she was there. She was again at the shelter. And this time she had been impounded by the police, which means there was some issue at the owner's home, and I didn't know exactly what it was. So because it was a police impound, she didn't have the usual stray hold time for them to figure out the issue and to give the owner a chance. And so eventually I did insist on getting her again. I did talk to Chrissy from CC Humane and talk to Denise, and Denise was unsure about taking the responsibility again. We knew that it would be a difficult placement this time. She had more issues than previously. I really couldn't leave her at the shelter after having bonded with her. So we did pull her again from the shelter, and she became a Contra Costa Humane foster. And after that, she seemed to have more physical issues, more emotional issues. She seemed to be depressed, and she just, I don't know what happened in between the time that I didn't have her. So I was more protective of her when I got her back, and I think that really caused us to bond even more. So she does have the issue of the incontinence, and she has the issue of the way she walked, and she was shaking a lot. Her back legs were shaking, and she was licking sores in her leg. We kept on taking her to adoptions and kept on taking to the vet to try to find out what was the issue with her, but I'm not sure that it was ever resolved. She has been taking gabapentin now, and it seems to help with her shaking. So eventually, in talking to Chrissy and knowing that she would be hard to place and knowing that I would have a hard time giving her up, she would just have to have that perfect home. I did decide to adopt her recently, maybe a month ago.
Yeah.
And so I think that as soon as she knew that I was going to adopt her, her whole attitude changed. She's a happier dog. So now she sleeps upstairs with my dog. I carry her up and down the stairs, put her in a bed, put a diaper on her so she can be up in the room. She's happier. She fits in. She's a sweet, sweet, sweet dog. And so that's her story.
How much time between your first foster of Melody and your second foster?
It was approximately 6 months, I think, from July to November.
How long do you think it took her to kind of get her out of your mind, so to speak?
After the first time?
After the first, right.
Yeah, it was hard because when I gave her back, it was definitely took a long time. I don't know, several months before, at least a month before. I mean, I never really got her out of my mind, but I had to. I couldn't just be focused and thinking about her every day because she was in a different home.
When you went back to the Martinez shelter, it was good that, they didn't contact you and say, oh, Melody's back. Would you like to foster her? You just happened to be there and saw her there.
Yes. We were walking around looking at other fosters, and she was there. It was unexpected completely.
Wow.
I don't know why. I think that was probably the best result for her that could have happened. I'm not sure if the owner lost her home or something like that. But
I mean, you truly were her angel, right?
Yeah.
it felt like it was meant to be.
Yeah, that's what
Felt
I
like
was
it
going
was
to
meant
say.
to be.
It was
Yeah.
meant to be.
In hindsight, do you think you could have made more of a fuss? I mean, it sounds like your gut reaction, you definitely had a reaction to, after dropping Melody off at the original owner's home, something just did not feel right with you.
Right. It didn't.
Yeah.
I think the owner meant well with the dog, loved the dog, but just had too many issues that I probably shouldn't go into. I did make as big of a stink as I could, but it's a difficult situation because the rescue's doing the best that they can for the animals, and it was the owner and it's ownership of the rescue group while she's a foster.
Yeah.
I did for a while. I did press, can you go check? Can you call? Can you make sure? Check up on her and see if she's okay. She was a Contra Costa Humane dog, and the owner surfaced, and so she went to the shelter first and then found out. So it was really...
Well, fortunately, it had a good ending.
Yeah. And everyone really wanted what was best for the dog, I think. It's just that it was just those circumstances and the way it happened. So she just aged incredibly
Right. And
in that short amount of time. I started fostering cats for EBAR, East Bay Animal Rescue and Refuge.
Yeah.
I am a cat person, really. I love cats.
But how many dogs do you have right now?
I have 3 of my own, and Denise has 1. So I have 3 cats, 3 dogs, and 3 tortoises at the moment.
Wow.
And Denise has 5 cats, 1 dog, 2 birds, and a rat now. Mm-hmm. So there's 18.
So these are all your dogs.
These are ours, and then we have
and then you foster
JJ
on top
and
of
her
that.
puppies. So we have the.
Right. How many cats and dogs do you think you have fostered over the years?
Lots.
25, 50?
Yeah, maybe with the kittens, because the kittens have larger litters, maybe about 30.
Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
So yeah, it's difficult when I first went to the shelter to say no to my first dog, because the dogs really are like, I want to get out of here,
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how it started with dogs. Melody is actually, if I could go back and do it again, I love my dogs. My 2 dogs are dogs with issues, and I love them because they're mine.
Tell us your story about Penelope.
One time I went to the shelter, I had seen this video about this poodle that was rescued from this dump. And I went to the shelter, and there was a 17-year-old blind, deaf poodle, no teeth. She was like 4.5 pounds, tiny little scraggly, dirty old thing. And I ended up adopting her right from the shelter. And I had her for maybe 9 months as well. And she had major issues. She took gabapentin too. It's like a miracle drug. She had an issue in her back as well. But she lived with me for 9 months and had a really happy ending. And I just, someday, if I could do that for dogs, I think that's what I would do. And then just have my cats and
then just foster
one dog
dogs.
at a time.
Yeah.
So, and just, an older dog.
So what's the largest number of animals you've had, like including your own and fosters,
I think
that you've ever had in your house?
I think we're pretty close to it, because between Denise and I, we have 18 of our own. And with Mama, just while we had the other 2 puppies. So just recently we had the 18 plus Mama, 4 babies, and the 2 other puppies.
So 18 plus 25.
6. Yeah, that's probably the max.
If you had $10,000, or if you could wave a magic wand and change anything with animal rescue, the state of animal rescue as it is currently, what would that be if you could just change one thing? Or if you could do one thing.
Yeah, I just wish that we, all rescues, really could convince the world to spay and neuter, to not dump the animals, to give them a chance. I mean, I think a lot of people point to the shelters and as the bad guy, when really the animals are being dumped there. And I don't know how to stop that, but I wish I could convince people to do the right thing, to spay and neuter their animals so that there's not so many, to give them a chance to not dump them, to make a good decision before they get them. Mm-hmm. I don't know if money would help, or if just
mindset,
education, mindset.
We just want to say thank you to Deb Huaco for sharing her story. And we want to say thank you to Debra and Denise for being such amazing animal rescue heroes. If you want to learn more about Debra, including the story of her and Penelope, that's the blind and deaf poodle, go to our show notes at thisispawprint.com/16. If you want to learn more about Harold and Nancy, we promise that all of our vaccinations are up to date. You can find us on Facebook, that's Harold Ree or Nancy Ree. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter at This Is Pawprint, all one word. If you want to listen to more episodes, you can hear us on iTunes, SoundCloud, or Stitcher, and plenty of other podcast apps. We want to say thank you to all of you, our listeners out there, for inspiring us with your stories. And we want to say welcome to our listeners in El Paso, Texas, Sioux Falls, South Dakota, Central Bedfordshire in the UK, and Baghdad, Iraq. We all make a difference by spreading a positive message of love and peace by saving an animal. Have a great day, everyone, and see you next time on Pawprint.
Pawprint is a production of EVER Education.
You can't handle the truth.
Woohoo!